What if I told you that the Warriors dynasty isn't over yet? That a single move could reignite the flame of one of the greatest franchises in NBA history? Get ready for what could be the Bay Area's boldest move since Kevin Durant's arrival. In a world where dynasties are born and die in a matter of seasons, the Warriors seem to be plotting something that could shift the balance of power in the Western Conference once again. The pieces are moving on the board. The phones won't stop ringing. And while the rest of the league looks to the future, the Warriors are focused on the present with the intensity of a team still hungry for championships. The Golden State Warriors build a dynasty with calculated moves. First, the homegrown core with Curry, Thompson, and Green. Then, the market shock with Durant in 2016. Each chapter written with blood, sweat, and strategy behind the scenes. Today, with the end of the Splash Brothers legacy, a new chapter may be about to be written. NBA history is full of trades that redrew the league's map. The Lakers bringing Kareem Abdul-Jabbar from Milwaukee. The Celtics acquiring Kevin Garnett and Ray Allen to form the first modern super team. The Cavaliers reorganizing their entire roster around LeBron in 2018. And now, the Warriors may be preparing their own market earthquake. This is a franchise that has always known when to bet big. Remember when they traded Monta Ellis to go all in on a young Stephen Curry with fragile ankles? Or when they dismissed Mark Jackson to bring in Steve Kerr, a coach with no experience? The Warriors aren't afraid to take risks when they feel the time is right. Before we dive into this rumor that's shaking the entire Bay Area, I need you to be part of this conversation. If you're passionate about the NBA and want to follow every behind-the-scenes movement of the trades firsthand, now is the time to leave your like and subscribe to the channel. We're an exclusive community of true insiders who don't miss a single detail. Don't be left out. The next few days will be decisive, and you won't want to miss any updates. This is the kind of news that can transform a franchise overnight, and you can say you heard it here first. The news is running through the NBA corridors. The Warriors have their eye on Domantas Sabonis. The two-time Lithuanian All-Star who transformed the Sacramento Kings may be about to trade California's capital for the Bay Area. Sources close to both franchises confirm that initial conversations have already taken place. According to multiple sources, Warriors and Kings executives have been having private conversations in recent weeks. Names were mentioned, financial details were discussed. A league insider, who asked not to be identified, stated that the chance of the move happening is more real than people imagine. With impressive near triple-double averages this season, Sabonis represents exactly what the Warriors need: a dominant center in the paint, with elite court vision and playmaking ability that would fit perfectly into Steve Kerr's constant movement system. The numbers don't lie. Sabonis leads the league in offensive rebounds, is among the top 5 centers in assists, and maintains a shooting efficiency above 60%. We're talking about a player who can completely change a team's internal dynamics. For the Warriors, the need is clear. Since Kevin Looney's departure, the team has struggled in the paint. The lack of a dominant center has cost them decisive rebounds and points in the paint. Against teams like Jokic's Nuggets and Gobert's Timberwolves, this deficiency becomes even more exposed. On the other side, the Kings, after a season of ups and downs and with a record of 39-40, seem to be reevaluating their future. The purple lights of Light the Beam no longer shine with the same intensity, and whispers of rebuilding are beginning to echo in the corridors of the Golden One Center. The season has been a test of endurance for Sacramento. After the excitement of breaking the playoff drought last year, the team hasn't been able to maintain the same rhythm. Losses to teams from the lower part of the standings and difficulty in closing tight games have brought doubts about the ceiling of this current roster. Behind the scenes, Mike Dunleavy Jr., architect of the Warriors dynasties, works tirelessly. The echoing question, what will be the price for Sabonis? According to our sources, the conversations start with Jonathan Kuminga, Moses Moody, and at least one first-round pick. The first offer would have been immediately rejected. The Kings demanded the inclusion of Brandon Podziemski, the Warriors' rookie sensation, significantly raising the price. Myers would have counterproposed with an additional protected first-round pick, keeping Podziemski off the table. The financial aspect is another crucial factor. Sabonis is in the middle of a 4-year contract worth $78 million. For the Warriors, already operating well above the salary cap, every move needs to be meticulously calculated to avoid even more severe luxury tax penalties. For the Warriors, the pain of losing young talents like Kuminga is real. The Congolese has shown flashes of potential to become a star. His athletic explosions and evolution in three-point shooting have been bright spots in an irregular season for the team. Kuminga, the 7th pick in the 2021 draft, has shown constant evolution. His scoring average has risen to almost 17 points per game, and his defensive improvements are visible. At 21, he represents a type of talent that rebuilding teams covet, a player with all-star potential still on his rookie contract. But Curry's window is closing. At 37, the greatest shooter of all time still produces impressive numbers, but the biological clock doesn't wait. Management understands that they have the responsibility to maximize the final years of one of the greatest players in history. For the Kings, the decision is equally complex. Sabonis is the heart of the team, but the chemistry with Fox hasn't brought the expected results. Monty McNair, the Kings GM, would be evaluating whether this is a time to reset and build around Fox, with young talents and draft picks. Fox, with his explosive game and ability to decide games, represents the unquestionable future of the franchise. The question that McNair and his team face is, which configuration maximizes Fox's unique talent? A young roster will grow with him, or continuing to bet on the partnership with Sabonis. The obstacles? The salary cap is one of them. The Warriors would need to reorganize contracts and possibly involve a third team. Additionally, regional rivalries rarely see trades between each other. Since 1985, Kings and Warriors have made only 2 small trades. The geographical proximity adds another layer of complexity. Trades between regional rivals are rare precisely because of the fear of strengthening a direct competitor. In these cases, franchises frequently demand a rivalry premium, essentially asking for more assets than they would from a distant team. The Kings scouting teams have been meticulously observing Kuminga and Moody. Internal reports show optimism about the potential of both, especially Kuminga, who could become the ideal partner for Fox, offering athleticism and elite defense in positions 3 and 4. Imagine Sabonis in the Warriors system, a center averaging 19 points, 13 rebounds, and 8 assists, feeding Wiggins cuts, finding Curry for corner threes, and forming a solid defense with Draymond. This wouldn't just be a move to compete. It would be a statement that the Warriors aren't finished yet. The pick and roll between Curry and Sabonis would be practically impossible to defend. If the defense focuses on Curry, Sabonis rolls to the basket with deadly efficiency. If they double Sabonis, Curry is free for the shot. And if both attract defenders, Sabonis has the vision to find Wiggins, Podziemski, or Green for easy finishes. Steve Kerr would have at his disposal an elite facilitator in the high post, reminiscent of the days of Andrew Bogut and David West, but with vastly superior offensive skills. The split action, a characteristic play of the Warriors, would gain a new dimension with Sabonis' passing ability. The numbers don't lie. With Sabonis, the Warriors could rise from 22nd to potentially top 10 in rebounds, while maintaining their elite offense. Curry's efficiency could increase by up to 5% with quality screens and passes from the Lithuanian. Data analysts project a dramatic increase in the Warriors' net rating. The offensive rating could jump to the top 3 in the league, while the defensive rating would move from the middle of the table to near the top 10, thanks to Sabonis' defensive presence and his ability to secure the end of possessions with defensive rebounds. The Warriors' current difficulties in closing tight games could be mitigated. Sabonis represents a reliable attack point in the final moments, something that has been lacking with the inconsistency on the perimeter of our Warriors this season. For the Kings, Kuminga and Moody, along with draft picks, would represent an injection of youth and potential, a chance to build a lasting identity instead of immediate results that have proven insufficient. Kuminga could immediately assume a protagonist role with the Kings, something that seems distant in the current Warriors roster. His chemistry with Fox promises to be electrifying, combining 2 of the league's most athletic players. Moody, in turn, would offer the long-distance shooting and defense that Sacramento has been desperately seeking. The first-round picks would be particularly valuable for a franchise with a tradition of rebuilding through the draft. With a renewed scouting team and a new development philosophy, the Kings could use these picks to find complementary pieces for Fox and Kuminga. On the Warriors' side, the decision goes beyond basketball. It's about the franchise's identity in the post-Curry era. Are they willing to sacrifice part of the future to maximize the present? Or will they manage to balance both, extending the dynasty while preparing the next generation? Joe Lacob, the Warriors owner, has never shied away from bold decisions. Even with hundreds of millions spent on luxury tax in recent years, he maintains a discourse of providing the best possible team for the fans. This trade would be yet another proof of that commitment. We are witnessing what could be one of the most transformative moves of the season. If you're as excited as I am about this possibility, leave your like now and share in the comments. Does this trade make sense? The community needs your opinion. Subscribe so you don't miss any updates on this possible NBA earthquake. Experts are divided. Some see this as a perfect move for the Warriors to return to the top. Others question whether the sacrifice of young talent is too high. What is certain is that, if it happens, this trade will immediately redefine power in the Western Conference. The next few weeks will be decisive. The fate of two franchises, separated by just 90 miles, may be about to intertwine in one of the most impactful moves of the season. The question remains: will the Warriors find their final piece to resurrect a dynasty, or will the Kings hold firm to their own vision of the future? Our sources indicate that a decision may be made before the end of this month. Both teams are feeling the pressure time. For the Warriors, each lost game diminishes their playoff chances. For the Kings, the market value of their players fluctuates with each game. The reaction of the fan bases will be fascinating to follow. Warriors fans, accustomed to success, may react negatively to the loss of promising young players. Kings fans, exhausted from unfulfilled promises, may see this change as an opportunity to really build something lasting. And you, what do you think of this possible trade? Is Sabonis the missing piece for the Warriors to return to the top? Or should the Kings keep their star center? Leave it in the comments. In the ruthless world of NBA business, even the biggest stars can become pieces on a larger board. Kevin Durant, one of the most dominant figures in the modern league, finds himself at the center of a hurricane of speculation that could redefine the league's landscape in the coming months. As the NBA trade deadline clock advanced relentlessly, Kevin Durant involuntarily became one of the biggest commodities in the frantic trade market. The unexpected part? He wasn't even seeking this position. The current reality of the Phoenix Suns tells a painful story of crushed expectations. The team that many projected as a title contender now finds itself 8 games below .500, with hopes of even reaching the play-in tournament disappearing on the Arizona desert horizon. This cruel reality places the organization before existential questions. How can a franchise with astronomical investments justify maintaining the status quo? The numbers are relentless. $220,708,856 in salary, the most expensive in the entire NBA. A monumental amount for results that fall so short of expectations. Experts and league executives now converge on an increasingly inevitable conclusion. The Suns will need to trade Durant, not by choice, but by necessity. Financial mathematics and competitive logic point to a reset that few imagined necessary when the Durant-Booker-Beal trio was formed. Brian Windhorst, one of the NBA's most respected insiders, verbalized what many behind the scenes were already whispering. In his revealing words, do the Suns want to trade Kevin Durant this summer? No, not really. But the reality is that the Suns' paths to getting out of the second apron, to securing flexibility, seem to lead to Durant. They can't trade Beal, and they're not going to trade Devin Booker. The mention of the second apron refers to the severe financial penalties imposed by the NBA's new collective agreement for teams that consistently exceed the salary cap. These restrictions not only drain financial resources through punitive taxes, but also drastically limit teams' ability to improve their rosters through exceptions and free agent acquisitions. During the negotiation period, for serious contenders for Durant's services emerged: Golden State Warriors, Houston Rockets, Memphis Grizzlies, and New York Knicks, each with their own motivations and potential packages to offer. Among them, The Warriors represent the most intriguing narrative. A return of Durant to the Bay Area would evoke memories of a mini dynasty that won 2 titles and reached 3 consecutive finals. The possibility of reuniting Durant with Curry, Green, and Thompson for one last dance together is the kind of story that transcends sport and enters the realm of modern mythology. However, the current scenario raises questions about this possibility. The Warriors have found a new balance after their initial struggles this season. The development of young players like Kuminga and Podziemski has borne fruit, creating an internal dilemma. Sacrifice a promising future for the nostalgic appeal of a reunion with Durant? Windhorse points to the heart of the problem. Teams that will want Durant will be title contenders and generally already have high payrolls. If the Suns come to a crossroads where they need to move Durant, they may have to decide between getting what they want, which is a nice package of players and draft capital, and settling for what they need, which is flexibility. For the Warriors, the recently found momentum further complicates the equation. Steve Kerr's team seems to have found a rhythm and identity that were absent at the beginning of the season. Faced with this progress, a major roster reorganization to accommodate Durant represents a significant risk. For Durant, this whirlwind of speculation occurs at a delicate moment in his career. At 35, with 2 Achilles tendon ruptures in his medical history, the window to add another ring to his collection will not remain open indefinitely. Time, that relentless adversary that all athletes eventually face, advances without pause. The trio that should have dominated the Western Conference never found the necessary chemistry. Injuries played their part in this story of disappointment. But deeper questions about complementarity of styles and distribution of responsibilities were never completely resolved. For Matt Ishbia, the Suns owner who spent a fortune to acquire the franchise, this failure represents a harsh awakening to realities of the modern NBA. Money alone does not guarantee success. Building a roster requires balance between talents, tactical fit, and financial considerations that go beyond simply accumulating stars. Behind the scenes, the Suns board faces a kind of decision that defines legacies. Persist with formula proven ineffective, or recognize the need for a course correction. The choice between pride and pragmatism is rarely simple, especially when it involves a generational talent like Durant. The market for Durant, despite its financial complications, will remain robust. We're talking about a player who, even in his mid-30s, continues to be one of the most lethal scorers the game has ever seen. His unique combination of height, wingspan, and soft touch on the shot makes him a unicorn in the true sense of the word. For the Warriors, the decision goes beyond the courts. A Durant return would have significant implications for the team's culture. How would Draymond Green, with whom Durant had a public conflict that contributed to his original departure, react? Could the locker room dynamics, an intangible but crucial aspect for any title contender, withstand his reintegration? The Suns' failure this season serves as a cruel reminder of how projects that seem foolproof on paper can crumble when confronted with the realities of competition. Team chemistry, player health, and tactical fit cannot be predicted with precision, no matter how sophisticated the analytical models. For the fans involved, these speculations feed both hopes and fears. Suns fans see the potential end of an era that barely began, while Warriors fans are divided between the nostalgia of reuniting the core of a dynasty and the fear of compromising the promising development of young talents. As Windhorse wisely observes, any definitive judgment must wait for the outcome of the playoffs. Success or failure in the elimination series often catalyzes decisions that seem unlikely just weeks before. An early elimination of the Warriors could reanimate their interest in Durant. A surprising run could bury that possibility. The complex dance between need and desire defines the scenario. The Suns need financial relief but desire to remain competitive. The Warriors desire to maximize Curry's final years but need to consider their post-dynasty future. Durant likely desires stability but needs a scenario that offers realistic title chances. For Durant, whose career has been marked by controversial decisions about team changes, this potential trade would represent another defining chapter in his legacy. Would a return to the Warriors be interpreted as a tacit admission that his original departure was premature? Or would it be seen as an admirable demonstration of humility and pragmatism? Summer approaches, and with it, the negotiation period that could redraw the NBA's power map. At the center of this impending storm is Kevin Durant, one of the greatest talents of his generation. Paradoxically, both an agent and an object in the market forces that define modern professional sport. The coming weeks will bring more clarity to this nebulous scenario. Meanwhile, executives refine their strategies, agents prepare their arguments, and fans speculate tirelessly about the future of one of the most transcendent players in modern basketball history. In the end, as so often happens in the NBA, the fate of entire franchises may be determined not only by talent on the court, but by the complex intersection between sporting ambition and financial reality. For Kevin Durant and the Phoenix Suns, that intersection seems increasingly inevitable, leading to a summer that promises to rewrite the future of multiple franchises.